Hi, I'm Tom with Kussmaul Electronics Company, and today we're going to talk about the AutoPower 1500 Pure Sine Wave Inverter Charger. We're going to talk about the settings and connections in the back of the unit and in front of the unit. Okay, this switch here controls the unit by turning it on and off. In this position, the unit is completely off. The battery charger is not operating and the inverter is not operating. When you put the switch in this position, which is called power saver off mode, the unit works as an inverter and a charger all the time. What that means is when 110 volts is plugged into this unit, the unit will charge your batteries or acts as a charger. When you unplug 110 volts from it or AC, the battery will be converted to AC and give you 120 volts as you need it. Now, when you put the switch in this position, which is power saver auto mode, in order to save some power, when the unit is in DC mode, meaning it's just connected to the battery and there are no AC connections drawing power, the inverter doesn't turn on. But when you turn something on, more than 25 watts, it senses that the power is being drawn and turns the inverter on, and then you have 120 volts for your accessories. An important item is this is a battery temperature sensor. And what's very important about this is if you don't use this, the charger output will only go to 25 amps. So when you use this, the charger output goes to 55 amps. So I really think you would like to use this to maximize the output of the unit. This end of the cable plugs into the charger. This end of the sensor goes to the battery to measure its temperature. So we take this and we plug it in here, and the other end goes to the battery. Another important setting is the battery type selector switch. From the factory, this comes preset to number 4, which is a standard lead acid battery, which is very important because you don't want to overcharge your battery if you have a different type of battery or undercharge it. So for example, if I wanted to change it to a gel cell battery, I'd open up the instruction manual, look at the settings, and as I do that I see, okay, a gel cell battery is setting number 1. So I take a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, turn this to setting 1. Now the charger is set to a gel cell battery, and it'll adjust the voltage settings to charge the battery correctly. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about circuit breakers and the AC output connections. So notice on the front panel we have a Gfi output socket. This is controlled by this combination circuit breaker switch. It's in the on position now, which allows power to come out of this. When there is too much load being drawn out of this should pop at 15 amps, and it would look like that if it was popped. So normally it'll be in the on position, and this circuit breaker combination switch controls this output socket. In the rear of the unit, which I'll show you in a minute, there's a terminal strip to hardwire the AC into the vehicle, and that is controlled by this circuit breaker here. So right now this circuit breaker is pushed in, that's the way it should be. If it pops, it'll stick out about a 3/8 of an inch, and that means that the rear of the unit AC output or 120 volts has drawn too much current and has popped this circuit breaker. There's another circuit breaker you'll see right here, and that is the charger AC input, 120 volts, inside the unit. So inside the unit, if something happens to the charger portion of this and it draws too much current, this breaker will pop and stick out about a ½ inch, 3/8 of an inch. There is another circuit breaker right here, which is a DC output protection breaker of 20 amps. So this unit has, on pin 3, it has a 20 amp DC output to supply DC power inside the vehicle. This circuit breaker is protecting that output. So those are the breakers on the front of the front panel. We're going to talk about this switch here. It is a dip switch, and it has an on and off settings. There's a bunch of different settings. I'm not going to go into detail on each of this. You can go into the manual and look at that. But I'm going to talk about switch position number 4. That's very important. In the position it's in now, position 4 is in the on position, means the unit is set up for 60 hertz. If this was installed overseas, I'll just show you, that would be set for 50 hertz. So you want to keep position switch 4 in the on position. That means this inverter charger is set up for the US and 60 hertz. We're going to talk about adjusting the current output of the charger, and this hole right here is where we do that. So in the items you get this little plastic bag, and in this plastic bag is this adapter that you put in here, and this will allow you to adjust the current output to, let's say you want to make it 50%, so that means the charger is putting out 55 amps and you have the temperature sensor connected in. Half of 55 amps is 22.5 amps. So this will allow you to adjust the current output of the charger if you would like to. This is the auto generator start. This connector connects to a relay inside. When the battery voltage goes too low, this can send a signal to a generator to have it automatically start and recharge the batteries. On this connector, pin 2 is the remote switch. This enables you to operate the inverter from the dashboard or another location on the vehicle. Connecting this wire to ground will turn on the inverter and charger instead of using the switch on the unit. On this connector here, you'll see pin 3 and pin 1. Pin 1 is an ignition input. So when the vehicle's operating, that's where you connect pin 1 up to. And what that allows you to do is gives you an output on pin 3. You'll have a 20 amp, 12 volt DC output on pin 3. And also, if you have a qualified 120 volts AC input on the inverter charger, pin 3 will operate. This is so if you have accessory loads on the vehicle, if you shut the vehicle off and it's unplugged, you won't drain the battery down. Also on the front panel, you'll see a set of LEDs, and these indicate what the charger or inverter is doing, whether there's an alarm or not. For further details, you can look at the instruction manual. As you see the back of the unit, this is the DC input, negative and positive. Also chassis ground, very important to connect the inverter up to chassis ground. We also have your AC input and AC output and ground, and another remote switch. For more information, please check the manual on how to connect up this remote switch. So that was some important information on the settings and circuit breakers and connections from the back. But for a lot more detail, we have a 30-page manual that will give you everything you need to know how to install this correctly. Thanks again for watching about our new Auto Power 1500.